Masechta Zevachim. The Mishnah there. Daf Nun Zayin Amud Aleph. We're starting from Nun Vav Amud Beis from the Mishnah, like 17 lines on the bottom. Yeah, gleich dort. Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah. So we're starting right now. Abchei. Yeah. Abchei, which is the Peterachim, it's a Zacha, and it's the firstborn of a behemoth of a Maisa, of course, Maisa behemoth, a Pesach on the Korban Pesach, which is sacrificed on Yudala Benisin. These three kabbanis are in the Geda of Kachim Kal. Shchitasen, where is it Yeshach? Where do you slaughter it? In any part of the Azara. The Daman Ton, Atana Achas. How many spaces does it need? Only one, because it doesn't say Saviv. Saviv means that it has to be all around. So therefore we said from two angles to cover the four sides. But here it doesn't say Saviv. So one matan is good. He said, provided that it has to be where there's a foundation. You remember there's one side, the Reimes Mizachis didn't have a foundation. All the other sides had. That side you can't pour the matanachas. Only wherever there was a base, the yisod of the Mizbeach.
It's filled with blood over there.
Yeah, that's also the yisod. But there were three sides that had a yisod. Those places you could pour do the one matana. Now there's a chilik when it comes to achila between these three kabbanis. Abachei can only be given to be eaten by kahanim. Ha'maisa is different. It's by everybody, because the Torah doesn't say it has to be different to the kahanim.
And they could eat any place.
Oh, this is in the Azara for sure. They can eat it. They can eat it all in all of Yerushalayim. They can eat this in all of Yerushalayim, but in the Chayim. And anyway it's cooked, if it's cooked or scalded or roasted, you can eat it anyway. But for 2 days and 1 night. That's by B'chayr Maisa. Pesach, another one, it can only be eaten by night. It cannot be eaten even on the day of the Shechita. No, it's that same day, but not by day. You can eat only by night. You can only eat till Chatzos. And it can only be eaten to those that were appointed for the Korban. You can only eat it roasted. And we also, als ist nicht, und nicht. So I heard from him, Stefanski sagt the joke, he says, Svadim, wünschen einer der Zweite, good yamtiv. And when it comes to Vinch Ashkenaz, he's not going to have an easy fast. Because you guys eat nothing, they say. They eat gebrachts and all the good mices. Okay, you want to Tana. Who's the Tana that learns in the Mishnah that the mice and the Korban Pesach are sprayed with a kli from afar? It's not poured on the Mizbeach. Remember this name, it's very important. We're soon going to see a story, how sharp he was. The Tanya that we learned in Rabbi Yosef Aglili says, in the Pasik by Bechayr, it says, as Doman Tizroik, it says you have to spray again. That's where we know you have to spray with a kli. Al Mizbeach. That's Chalbam Takte. Chalbai Nema El Chalbam. It doesn't say Chalbai Yachid. It says Chalbam plural. Damai Leinema El Damam. It says plural. Limed not just by Bechayr, by other karbanos also. That by Bechayr Ma'isa, by the Korban Ma'isa with Pesach Shetunim Matan Damim, you have to spray the blood. They murim legam mizbeach, and they murim are burnt on the mizbeach. So the zikas damam by all three are equal, or equal. That it has to be with a kli. So you want to connect the same another. How do we know it has to be dafka where there was the base of the mizbeach? That's where you can spray the blood, not in a place where there wasn't a yisod. Zika. We learn out by oila. It says zika v'noila. It says as damam. By bechayr it says as damam tizoik, and by oila it says v'zorkes hadam al mizbeach. So just like by oila, we learn out that it has to be dafka by this side. So too, by the other kabbanis, by bechayr ma'is and pesach, has to be dafka by this side. How do we know even though oila that has to be dafka? The blood has to be where the yisod is, where the foundation is. Yeah, and you want to receive, because by chatas nasi, that husin b'shoigeg, it says al yisod mizbach ha'ila. So it says it didn't have to write ha'ila, should have said mizbach. Because the only one that had a Yisod was the Mizbeach HaChitzay. So what does he have to say? The Yisod of the Mizbeach HaOila. So the HaOila basically has to make the Mizbeach. I know that it means the Mizbeach HaChitzay. So what's the HaOila coming to teach us? Limeid al-Oila Shatuni Yisod. Come to teach us by a Oila that it needs to be sprayed where the Yisod was. So if the Matan Dom Shal HaBechira HaMaisva HaPesach, we learn it out with Exeda Shava from Oila, because Tizek, right? So if you're learning out from Oila, so learning Exeda Shava means you learn everything from Oila. So learn Mala, Hala, Shtei Matan Sheinaba, just like by Allah, it's 2 matanis. And I've counted, so we should say Shtei Matan Sheinaba. It should also be by all these 3, 2 space which equal to 4. Yeah, it's only one matan. We said by Mais Mechayiv and Pesach, it's only once. And for the Gemara, so the Gemara answers, so why would he have to write? Some become Mela, and some become Chatas. If it was a binyanah for all over from Eila that you need Shtei Matanes, so let her only write the word Sabit, which means it has to go all around the Mizbeach by Eila. That should be the binyan av for all, and learn out from there. For all over, it has to be Shtei Matanes. But it says Saviv not only by Eila, it says Saviv also by Chatos. So then it's Havish Nexum Abayim Kechet. You have 2 psukim teaching us the same din. If you have 2 psukim teaching us the same din, then you can't learn out from those 2 psukim for all over. For every place you want Shtei Matanes, it has to say the word Saviv. If we would say one time Saviv, yeah. Yeah. Says the Gemara. No, there's soon going to be another one. But right now, the Gemara is saying since it says Saviv by these 2, and it doesn't say by the others. So if it doesn't say Saviv, you don't need it. You only need Matan Echad. That's only according to Mandama that says if you have 2 psukim telling the same din, it cannot teach for all over. But according to Mandama that says you could still teach for all over. Michael, let's learn out from the Oila. Shtei Matanes. Huh? I don't remember, but he says that there's a mandam that says you could. So if you could, let us learn out from Eila. If we're learning out with Exeda Shabbat from Eila, so let's that the zik has to be bekli. Let's learn out also that it has to be by the Yisrael of this Bayach. Let's also learn out 2 sprays. So you might have a Asham Shleisha, but there's another Saviv. There's a 3rd time by Savi by Asham. Once it's Shleisha, if you have 3 Vadei Malamda, even according to the one that says Shnei Ksuvim Abayim Kecha 2 psukim that tells the same thing, it cannot teach for all over. But if you have a 3rd pasuk, everybody's in agreement. You cannot teach for all over. Meaning every place where you want to have 2 matanes, it has to say the word Saviv. So the Mishnah we learned the Bechai is eaten only to the Gehanim, and the Maisa we said is eaten l'cholad. And that was the difference. How do we know that a Bechai is eaten for 2 days and 1 night? Like it says in the pasuk, that's the beginning of the pasuk. It doesn't say in the Gemara. Uvesaram yiyah lach. Lach is going on the Gehanim. Kachazei hatnufa uchesheik hayamin. Like the breast that's raised and the right thigh. The pasuk was makish b'cheir to chaz v'sheik of shlamim to teach us. Ma shlamim nachal l'shnei yam l'ayla echad. B'cheir nachal l'shnei yam l'ayla echad. We made a hakish. We compared the b'cheir to shlamim. The chazei and the sheik. It says both over there has to be waved. And just like Shlomo's 2.5 days, 2 days and 1 night, so too here. Now starts a little bit of Gadata, but it's a Gemara. This is the shayla that was asked before the Chachamim. Bekerem b'Yavna. What says Bekerem b'Yavna? So he says the Sanhedrin was in Bechlal. The way the Sanhedrin sat in Yerushalayim, they sat in a semicircle that everybody could see each other. So they sat in a round like a Chatzi Levana. But then, after the Churban, the Romans didn't want that there should be like a smicha and continuance. So that what did they didn't want to sit like a Sanhedrin, so they sat like a vineyard, straight rows, like a kerem. That's why it was called kerem yavna. So over there, so it was asked before the Chacham that what's the din b'chayr lekama nechol? How many days does a b'chayr get to eat? The carbon of the b'chayr get to? How many days does the kohen get to eat it? And the one and then Raptafan answered, "Amal shnei yom v'layla, 2 days and 1 night." Hayasham Talmud echad shabal beis hamedrash lefnei chacham tchila. There was this Talmud came for the first time to Beis Medrash. But Rabbi Yosef Haglili Shmei and Rabbi
Yosef. It doesn't say how long you
No. It only says we learned it out from Chazei Sheikh from Chazei Sheikh of Shlomo. Okay.
Which he was a town from who?
No, he came the first time to the Beis Medrash. The Beis Medrash is given Rabbi Tafan, is given Rosh Hashiva. There was Rabbi Akiva there, Rabbi Yishmael, Grace, Talmid Chachamim, and he came there. And Rabbi Tafan gave an answer. Well, how do we know Bechayr is 2 days and 1 night from Shlomi? Amalei, so Rabbi Yisrael Agili says to Rabbi, he said, Pisha, already. Rabbi, Menayalach, Rabbi. Where do you know? Where do you know this from? Where do you learn this from? You'll soon see how strong he was. Amalei, so Rabbi Tafan wanted to not discourage him because Mistama, all the Talmidim looked at him. So Rabbi Tafan wanted to bring him in, make him warm. B'ni, my zunala, come here. Shlomim is kachim kalim. Ubecher is kachim kalim. Is ma shlomim nachal l'shnei yom v'laylach. B'chei nachal l'shnei yom v'laylach. That's how, because they're both kachim kalim in the same category. Amalei, so Rabbi Yisrael Aglili says to Rabbi Tafan, Rabbi, what made you compare it to Shlomim? Let's compare it to Chatas v'Asham. That just like a B'chayr is a Matan L'Kayim, Chatas v'Asham is a Matan L'Kayim. And it's only eaten to Kahanim. And it's not Doimet HaShlomim because a Shlomim is given to the Bailim. So first of all, it has different places where you're allowed to eat. You're only allowed to eat Chatas v'Asham and Nazara. Plus, who said and chatas v'asham l'yem v'layla? Abechei will say l'yem v'layla. Who says 2 days, 2 nights? 2 days, 1 night like Shlamim? It's closer to chatas v'asham that they're both only matana l'kayin, and it's only for 1 day. So let us learn that it's 1 day, 1 night. Amalei Abtafan said, "Mani, my zunala, nodin dov, huh?
Nodin davo.
Amalei b'ni nodin." Here it says, okay, Nadum will learn out from a binyanav something dav metech dava, something that's similar. V'nilma dav metech dava. We can normally a binyanav is learned out something something that's similar. Ma shlamim ein boyin achet, just like a shlamim is not brought for a sin. Abechei ein ba'al chet. Abechei is the firstborn, goes to the kohen, has nothing to do with being mechap al chet. So Mashenken Chatas and Asham that you wanted to compare to, they're born al chet. So Mashlam in Nachal Shnei Yom Laylach. Nachal Shnei Yom Laylach. Amalei Yosef Agili says, Rabbi, good. He sucks good. Look at this mechutza. He sucks good. Nadun dav medava. Yeah, you're right. We have to compare and learn one that's similar to another. Once you know something similar to the other, then you can learn out what opinion of one from the other. But Chatas v'Asham has 2 comparisons to B'chayr. It's stronger. Chatas v'Asham Matan L'Kayin v'Chayr Matan L'Kayin. That's number 1. And Ma Chatas v'Asham Ein Boyin B'Neder U'Nedava. B'chayr Ein Boyin B'Neder U'Nedava. Just like a Chatas, you can't say, I'm making a neder to bring a chatas. A chatas is if you sin, you bring a chatas. You're stuck in neder. I'm giving an adova a chatas. A chatas a chiv. Das hat nicht zu tun mit an adova da. Das gesindig, das bringen. Nicht, ich gebe an adova. Du gibst gar nicht kein adova. You did a sin, you gotta pay. You pay your chatas. I don't know how the rhyme goes. You pay for something that it rhymes. You do something wrong, you have to pay. Whatever. So they have 2 ways that b'chayr is compared to Chatzis Vashim. Number one, B'chayr and Chatzis Vashim are Matana L'Koyin. Number two, they cannot be brought b'neido b'nedava. So my Chatzis Vashim
You can't compare.
no, he says, so it's more similar to Chatas V'Hashim than Shlamim. Shlamim, you have only one way that's similar, that it doesn't come as a kapara. But otherwise, but the Chatas and Dava, you have two ways that it's similar. It's Matnas Koyen, and it cannot be brought, but then you're Dava. So just like Chatas V'Hashim is only eaten one day, Kafis Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva jumped, when they started Rabbi Tafin, because Rabbi Tafin didn't know what to answer. Rabbi Tafin lo yod lo hash bal tanis Rabbi Yossi even nishtatik. Rabbi Yossi actually was so strong. His first time, with Hazalcha Bamba Shailas, Amalei Rabbi Akiva kicked in over here. Amalei Rabbi Akiva says to Rabbi Yossi Aguli, he says, listen, you're right. Mitzad, the comparison, Mitzad Binyanav, you have to learn something that's similar, and it's talking more similar to Chatas V'Hasham. B'chayr is more similar to Chatas V'Hasham. But it says, Hareu Oima B'Negei to B'chayr, it says, V'Sanam Yiyalach, Kachazei Atnuf V'Chasheik Hayom L'Cha Yiyah, Hikish Nakasa L'Chazav V'Sheik, L'Shal Shlamim, we have a hekesh. So since we have a hekesh, Ma Shlamim L'Chal L'Shnei Yom L'Chad, Ab'Chayr L'Chal L'Shnei Yom L'Chad, and now you can't come with me mitzvaris, what's Deima Nish. That's the hekesh. Ve'ema Shimin ala hekesh.
That's the end of Rav Tafin.
Rav Tafin is out of the picture. 1 minute. He couldn't answer. Now he's going to ask Rabbi Akiva, who says to make the hekesh this way. Amalei, Rabbi Yossi Agli says Rabbi Akiva. He doesn't stop. No, he just keeps on going. Rebbe, Atoi kash l'chazor v'shek shel shlamim, bani makish l'chazor v'shek shel teida. I could make the same hekesh to a teida. Mimi, you made a nice hekesh, but I have a hekesh. What's the hekesh? He says, if you want to see the hekesh, by shel teida, first of all, it's 1 day and 1 night. And it also says the Lashon Chazav V'Sheik. It doesn't say by B'chayr Chazav V'Sheik like Shlamim. It says Chazav V'Sheik. Chazav V'Sheik is written by Teida too. And by Teida, just like by Teida, it's only for 1 day and 1 night. Let it be only for a day and a night. Amalei. Yes, once. Let me see if he brings over here, and the Rashi says, and Rabbi Yossi Agili added even more so. It's better to learn my way, Rabbi Yossi Agili, the Hekesh my way than your way. Why? Mal tafasta mur tafasta meruba loy tafasta. Du willst da reinchappen 2 days. You want to give me a kula, you can eat it for 2 days. That's too much. Tafasta meruba. 1 day and 1 night. That's tafasta mur tafasta.
In other words, if you can only eat 1 day,
No, that's a kula.
You have to eat it fast. You don't have too much time.
That's a
Give
chumrah.
you 2 days to make it easy for you.
You can't just make it easy as you want. You can, for the next year, you can eat it. No, that's tafasta meruba. So he felt, listen to me, my tafasta meruba, my way is better. Rabbi Akiva says, listen, I made it to you. That it's at the hekesh. I should have learned like you. You were like the Taida. Because tafasta meruba loy tafasta. But harayim of Sarim Yilach, it says, and then Shein Talmud Lema, and then at the end of the pasuk it says, again, L'cho Yihiyeh. What's L'cho Yihiyeh? Ma Talmud Lema. You already said Sarim Yilach. Why do you have to say that Kachasei Atnufa Chesheich Hayomim L'cho Yihiyeh? What's L'cho Yihiyeh? Ma Talmud Lema L'cho Yihiyeh. Haisa Kasa Abaya Cheres. The Torah added with that yiter that he should be able to have another day. So it's exactly Rabbi Yossi Agili. You're right. Hekesh lechatchila kemenish chatn. No, so he started with mu'it.
Why did Torah give you an extra day?
L'chayiyah, that's a yitur. The Torah had to tell you a yitur. Without the yitur, I would only have 1 day and 1 night. We would compare it only to Torah. Hadvarim of Rabbi Akiva lifnei Rabbi Yishmael. When Rabbi Yishmael took a break and he came back and he heard what Rabbi Akiva said, he said to Talmidim, Rabbi Akiva Taisa. Go back and tell Rabbi Akiva what you told Rabbi Yossi Agli. You made a mistake.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Toida Mahichan Lameida. Toida itself. How do we know that the Chazav Sheikh of a Toida goes only to the Kahanim. Says the Gemara Mishlamim. We only know from a Shlamim. The Torah compared to a Shlamim that says Zois Torah is Zevach Shlamim, and over there we learn out that just like the Matrish from the Shlamim, the Chazal Sheikh to the Kahanim, so too we learn out the Chazal Sheikh by a Torah. And now you want to learn out Bechir from Torah. So you remember Dava Halamed by Hekdesh, Dava Halamed Mehekish, Ein Chayzah Malamed Mehekish. So here you learned out Bechlal by Torah. How do we know Bechlal, the whole concept that the Chazal Sheikh goes to the Kahanim? You learned it out from Shlamim. Then you want to learn out Bechir from Torah with a Hekish again, that it's for one day and one night. That it's for one day and one night, and the Chazal Sheikh goes only to the Kahanim. You want to learn also both, that the Chazal Sheikh goes to the Kahanim, and it's really the kvetches that it's the Chazal Sheikh goes to the Kahanim, and then we'll learn out it's for one day and one night. Says you can't learn it out from Torah, impossible. So therefore, the Chazal Sheikh, if you have a chance to learn it out directly from Shlamim, learn it out from Shlamim, because it won't be Chayz V'Leimed Mehekish.
You're going to give it 2 days.
And you'll learn 2 days and one night. That's better. Yeah, but that's a svara. Here it's coming. You're not going against the cloud. Rather, we have to go and learn the Chazal Sheikh from Shlamim. In fact, we have Yishmael who says that the Chazal Sheikh is this, that we know that it's 2 days by Bechir is directly from Shlamim. So why does it say L'choyiyah by Bechir? What do we need the extra word? L'choyiyah. Hi L'choyiyah, what does he do with the extra words? My Avid Lei, and you want to leave it out L'choyiyah Balmum. That if L'choyiyah was a Balmum, I wouldn't have known that it's still given to the Kohen. The teacher, Shumatan L'Kohen Shalei Matzim L'chol HaTorah, that it's given to the Kohen, which we don't find all over the Torah, that a Balmum should be given to the Kohen. It doesn't say anywhere. So the Chayiyah teaches us if it has a mum, it still goes to the Kohen. Rabbi Akiva, the Chayiyah, that he learned that it means for an extra day. So how does he know even a Balmum goes to a Kohen? Yolef le mipsaram, instead of saying B'yab Lashon Yachid, that L'chotiyah, you learn out from Torah for one day, one night, and L'chotiyah is to add another day. So L'chotiyah was utilized. So how does he know that if a Bechir has a Balmum, it still goes to the Kohen?
Maybe it doesn't go.
It does. Everybody knows it does. But where's the limit from? Because it says plural, B'sadam. Whether it's Atam or Balmum, it goes to the Kohen. So the Gemara Rabbi Yishmael, who learns that a Bechir Balmum is given to the Kohen from the Chayiyah. So what does he do with the B'sadam plural? It says this, like we said before in the Gemara. B'sadam, the Hanak Bechir is Kama. By the Bechir, there's 3 different types of animals that you can bring. Bechir Shor, Bechir Kesef, Bechir Eiz, Keves Eiz, I'm sorry. Which is Bechir, all those 3, that's why it says Psanam, that all these various types could be used. So you want to come with what's the Gemara's kasha here? You want to say kasha Rabbi Akiva. How do you say you learn out from Torah, right? And that it's one day, and the Chazal Sheikh, it's only eaten by the Kahanim, and Torah you learn out from Shlamim. We know the rule, Dava Lamed Mehekish, and Chayz V'Leimed Mehekish. So how could Rabbi Akiva say you're learning out from Torah? So and for the Gemara, Mars of Hayimenu V'Dava Acha. Rabbi Yishmael holds that Hayimenu V'Dava Acha Havi Hekish. What does that mean? Hayimenu means from what's written befedish, and that part of the Hekish. You're learning part of the limud of what you want to learn out is learned from a hekesh, and part of the limud is learned from what it says befedish. He's saying it's being divided, right? B'chayr we learn out from Torah, right? What are we learning out? You want to learn out that the chazah, let's say, I'm sorry, Torah from Shlamim. So Torah, no, I'm sorry, B'chayr from Torah. Torah you want to learn out from Torah that the Chazal Sheikh is only eaten to the Kahanim, right? That's a Hekesh, but there's a part in the Torah that says befedish it's only for one day and one night, That's that part that we eat the chaz v'shoik only for one day and one night. So part of it says beferish in the Torah about eating it one day, one night is written hayemanu in the pasuk itself. About the chaz v'shoik that's only eaten to the kahanim, and it's also eaten for one day, one night. That we learn out from Shlamim.
So Taida learns something from
Taida could teach something else about the chaz v'shoik because part of the Taida is written beferish that it has to be eaten for one day, one night. That the chaz v'shoik, but not that the chaz v'shoik has to be to the kahanim, has to be only eaten by the kahanim. That we learn out from Shlamim.
Okay.
But we want to use out chaz.
No, not Shlomo is 2 days.
Right. No, about eating only that the kahanim could only eat it.
That they learn from where? From Shlomo.
Shlamim, but that it's eaten for one day, but one
Shlomo,
night.
everybody can eat from it.
No, by Shlamim only the kahanim. He says
Shlomo?
he learns out from Shlamim that over here he brings out that come out there come Shlamim shnema the zeis teis zever Shlamim out there yakeven mekanan lemein shekeshem ma shem aflish min Shlamim zakaz v'shoik likahanim yamafresh it the kahanim. Yeah. Chaz v'shoik. But Toida has part of it which is teaching a b'cheir. Part of it is written beferish by Toida. That is that one day, one night. The Chaz v'shoik part.
How do we learn that? What is it? What's the common?
Chaz v'shoik. It says Chaz v'shoik also.
By
By b'cheir. Says the Gemara.
So what do you have to learn? So what are you learning?
So it's not a hekesh. So it's not a full hekesh. You
So
want to learn out. You want to learn out from Toida according to Rabbi Akiva. You say Toida cannot according to Rabbi Akiva it could teach. I'm sorry. According to Rabbi Yishmael, it could teach. And since it could, it's a hekesh. No, according to Rabbi Yishmael, it's a hekesh. According to Rabbi Akiva, it could teach because it's not a hekesh. Because part of the limud is written the fetish in the pasuk that it's a day and a night. Okay, so therefore it's not considered as a full hekesh. That's why you could teach b'chayr. Rabbi Yishmael argues. Rabbi Yishmael says, I don't care if it's part; it's still a hekesh, and therefore you have to learn directly b'chayr from Shlamim. Okay, so so Havi Hakish, according to Rabbi Yishmael, it's a Hakish. And Rabbi Akiva said, "Allah have a Hakish, it's not a Hakish." So now I'm going to just give you a short preview of a similar case. It says when they get to spraying the blood inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim, there's a par and a soyer. By the par, it only says that you spray 7 lamata. It doesn't spray anything. How many times lamayla? By the soyer, it says befedish behiza oisai, 1 lamayla, but it doesn't say how much lamata. So we learn par and soyer from each other that they're both 7 lamata and 1 lamayla. That's how we learn. That's all in the Kodesh. And the Heichel, Nacha Hekish, we learn out from the Heichel, from the Kodesh HaKadoshim, that it was 7 lamata of Ach lamayla was 7 lamata. That's what we learn out from the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So you have a double Hekish. You have a Hekish within Kodesh HaKadoshim, right? Par and Sawyer, that we learn out one from the other. And then we learn out from the Oyamaya, from inside the Heichel, not the Kodesh HaKadoshim, from the Kodesh HaKadoshim. That it's Ach lamayla v'shev lamata.
Didn't we say that also by Par and Sawyer?
Par and Sawyer we learned out by Kodesh HaKadoshim, Lefnei HaKapoyres. Ach lamayla v'shev lamata. But only by Par it says lamata, and by Sawyer it only says l'mayla. It doesn't say the number of. It doesn't give the whole shev lamata by Sawyer, and it doesn't say the ach lamayla by Par. But we learn out from each other that it's the same number.
When you go to the Heichel,
And then the Heichel we don't even have a number, so we learn out Heichel the Chayas La'ilmayid. It says so we learn out from a Hekish.
the same way we saw that.
Whatever's in the Heichel, that's how it was there. So it's a double Hekish. Says you want to be shlang that was like Habi Hekish. It's understood according to Rabbi Akiva. It's not a Hekish because there was the part that says befedish in the Torah. Some of the Hazoyis by the par, it said 7 Hazoyis. By the Sar, it said 1 Hazoy. 1 Hazah. The hekesh was on the remaining number. So therefore, we can learn out what a hekesh to b'chen yas l'oil me'ed. Kshem shemaz l'fnei l'fnei machs l'mayla v'sher l'mato midam apor kach umaz b'heichel. Just like in the Kodesh HaKadoshim was shev l'mato achs l'mayla v'sher l'mato, so too was in the heichel. Kshem shu l'fnei machs l'mayla v'sher l'mato midam apor kach umaz b'heichel. And the same thing for the soy ear. In the heichel, we learn out from the lefnai v'lefnim, meaning in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. The par and the soyer. The par in the but you spitz achs l'mayla v'shev l'mata. But by the par, the Torah only said about the shev l'mata in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. About the soyer, it only spoke about the izoisa, only the achas l'mayla. So we made a hekesh of part to soyer.
That was in the Kodesh.
That's in the Kodesh HaKadoshim itself. In the Heichal, we made another hekesh to compare to the par and soya to the par and soya of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. That was Achs L'Mata v'Shev L'Mata. Yes.
So there were two sets.
Yes, two sets. Yeah. Only according to Rabbi Yishmael that says. So he says the one in Lefnai Lefnim wasn't really a hekesh part to soya, because there was a certain amount of hazoyas that the Torah B'Feidish said that was written B'Feidish. By the par was written B'Feidish 7 Lamata. By the soy was written Achz Lamayla. So it's not the hekesh was on the remaining numbers for the par that Achz Lamayla, and for the soy 7 Lamata. So that's not a real hekesh. It's called Hayimenu, and he calls it Hayimenu Umidova Acher. Okay. Hayimenu from the pasuk else itself, from the hekesh. Okay, but so only according to Rabbi Yishmael that says that even though it's Hayimenu, it's written in the face of the pasuk, Habi hekesh, it's still considered as a hekesh. How were we able to learn the Oyel Mayed from the Kodesh HaKadoshim? It's in the Kodesh HaKadoshim you learn now from a hekesh part from Soyer because of a lot of hekesh. No, according to Rabbi Yishmael, it's called a regular hekesh. Rabbi Yishmael, not Rabbi Akiva. So if it's a hekesh, how could you be chayz v'leimed v'chein yas l'ayomay? Says Gemara Mekaymes hu dekagami mahadadi. He says it's way different. These are two different hekeshim, two worlds of hekeshim. In the chein yas l'ayomay, right? The second hekesh, chein yas l'ayomay. You're talking about that the place of the Oyel Mayed should be like the place of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. But in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, you're comparing the par to the soya and the soya to the par. So it's two different hakeshim. That's one answer. And second answer is, if you want, I'll tell you another answer. That really, he'll say that the two Mekaymis is not really changing anything. He's still talking about the par soya. So what does he say? So he says, he says, look, by the Pavesoyer, the concept in the Torah of numbers of sprays was written. But by the Chazei
One was here, one was here.
no, by Par was written 7, by Soyer was written 1, but it was written about spraying. But when it came to the Chazei Sheikh of a Torah, we didn't know about Kahanim. The whole concept never existed. The whole Yisod wasn't there. So that's a much stronger hekesh. That's called a hekesh.
The one
The
7 and 1 is
It's not a hekesh because that's called hayimenu umeidava. Because the concept was there about Zika, but the chaz of a sheikh by the Torah, the whole concept that it's only eaten by kahanim, there's no hint of it anywhere. We have to learn it from Shlomo. Okay. So now he's going to talk about Benegeya to the Lachmei Torah. We're going to get to it right now. It's understood that according to the one that says even something that's Hayimenu, written the finished part of the Limud, and part is a Hakesh, it's not going to be considered as a Hakesh. This is what's written by the Shnei Alechem, which was brought on Chag HaShavuos. It says, "Ve'kaftem mincha chadash el Hashem mimay taviu lechem tnufa." Shtayim shnei yasenim soilas te yachamis te yafana b'yikun l'Hashem. Shein Talmud Leim Taviu. What's this extra word Taviu coming to tell us? The Taviu is not teaching us anything in this pasuk. So Ma Talmud Leim Taviu. What is the pasuk of Taviu? The word Taviu coming to teach us? Kol Evi Lachmei Chometz Shato maybe Mimakim Lamakim Acher. Any carbon of Lachmei Chometz, meaning the lechem that was the Lachmei Chometz that was brought with the Teda. Hareu Kazeh has to be like the Shtei Alechem. Mala Halon. Yisrael Nachalav Kan Yisrael Nachalav. So he says, what do we learn out from the Hekesh? That there was Shnei Esreinim. There were two chalas that were brought with there were two breads that were brought on Chag HaShavuos, and those two breads consisted of a son. Each one had a yisodin. When it came to the lachmei tzedek, yisodin soilis. This is like 5 pounds. Okay, it was 5 pounds, right? So each lechem was like 5 pounds. Now he wants to learn out from there, from Taviu, with a hekesh that by the Toida they brought 40 breads. 30 was matzahs, and 10 was lechem chometz, right? So he wants to tell you that the lechem chometz, that those 10 lechem chometz, each one was like one lechem, the same weight, Isan. They were each a Isan. Let us say no. Shnei Yisraelim was the whole amount. Let's look at the bottom line. How many Yisraelim were by the Chag HaShavuos, by the Lachmei Chag HaShavuos? 2 Yisraelim. So let us say that the 10 Lachmei Chometz by the Teda was also only 2 Yisraelim. It comes the extra word. Tiyanan tells us no. Each lechem of the 10 lechem was a separate Yisraelim. We learned that it was 10 lachmei chometz, and it says asar lamatzah menayin. How do we know that there was 10 matzahs in every category? It says because we al chalis lechem chometz, and the Teda and the pasuk compared lachmei matzah of Teda to the lachmei chometz. Neged chometz have matzah. Against the chometz you should bring matzah. So he says that the lachmei matzah was 10, but it equaled, the 10 equaled,
Everything was 10 here.
the 30 matzahs, altogether equaled the 10 lachmei chometz. That means it was a third of one matzah was a third of the lechem chometz. Says the Gemara. So you know the number of chales. How do we know? Where do we learn out how many chales there were? We say there were 30 chales matzahs and 10 lachmei teda. So where do we learn that out? From Trumas Maisa, because by Maisa you give 1/10. You had to give a 10th of each group of matzahs. So you knew if it's a 10th, it has to be 10 matzahs. And the same thing with the chametz. How do you know the measurement of the matzah? So the measurement of matzah we learn out with a hekesh, like we said. That the measurement of matzah we learn out from lachmei chametz, and the lachmei chametz. How do we know that it was as isan each one from a hekesh, from the 2 breads that were brought on Shavuos? Says Gemara, according to Manda Amma, Rabbi Yishmael, something that's learned a little bit of a hekesh is not a hekesh. So he says, "Ma yikalamema." We're gonna have to stop over here. Okay. So the Gemara is asking why we're up to Taviyu Yisribuyu. So the Gemara has learned 2 hekeshim. So there was 2 hekeshim here. One hekesh was that we learned out from Chag HaShavuos, that just like Chag HaShavuos, the 2 lechem, each lechem was a isarin. So we learned out even when it's 10 of the lachmei chometz by Toida, each lechem was isarin. That's a lot. That was one. And then we learned out that the lachmei matzah, how much was the lachmei matzah? It was the equivalent, all 30 matzahs of the same weight of the 10 lachmei chometz. That means a lachmei matzah was a third.
So it was equal, right?
It's equal. If you carry 30 matzahs and 10 lachmei, it was the same thing. So this, but he's saying, so it's a double hekesh. How could you learn that out? Says Gemara, it's not a double hekesh. Taviu, what we learn out from Taviu that the shtei about the shtei, we learned out that the shtei halechem was 2 isarim, teaches us for all over the yitur of the word Taviu, teaches us wherever you see a lechem chametz, it's a isarim. And that wasn't the hekesh. We thought that was the hekesh also. He says, that's a yitur. This that we learn out that the lachmi matzah is weighed the same as the lachmi chametz, that's the hekesh. That's a hekesh. So he says it's not a.
What's the hekesh?
That just like they're in the same pasuk, just like the lachmi chametz was 10 isarim, so too. That's another hekesh. It's we learn out the lachmi matzah from the lachmi chametz that it was the same weight. And the Taviyu taught us that each lechem had isarim. Okay? Oh, what you meant, what do we learn out? The number 10 by each one, that we learned out with a Gzeda Shova from Maisas. Because in order to give Maisa, it has to be a 10. So,
that's when we got to the number 10.
10, yeah. Okay. So, now it's a new Indian. It's very simple. The Pesach was only eaten by night and only till Chatzos. Who's the Tana? The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa, Rebbe Lezman Azai Oima, Nemer Kan. It says by Korban Pesach, when the Yidden were leaving Mitzrayim, it says Va'achles Abasa Ba'layla Hazeh. It says the word Ba'layla. When Nemar Lahalan by Makas B'Chedis, it says Va'avati B'Etz Yisrael Ba'layla Hazeh. So Ma Lahalan, just like by Makas B'Chedis, was Bachatzi Alayla. It says Kachatzi, but it says Bachatzi Alayla. Ad Chatzos. It meant only Ad Chatzos. Av Kan. So too, the Korban Pesach was eaten Ad Chatzos. Because we learned it out from Gzeda Shova Balayla Balayla. Amalei Rabbi Akiva.
Since we're talking about a Laila, so we find one place was the Chatzi Laila.
By Makas B'Chedis, so we learned out the Laila that says by eating the Korban Pesach also until Chatzos and Balayla. Okay. Amalei Rabbi Akiva.
Now we can bring that up at the Seder, no?
Yeah. Yes, you could. Yes. But if it says when they get to eating the Pesach, it says when should they eat it? When they had to start rushing to go out. They couldn't leave Mitzrayim till the morning. It says V'atem lo teitzu ish mi Pesach beisei ad beika. And then when did the chipaz in the island start? In the morning. And so it says V'achaltem b'chipazim. When is that in the morning? So what are you saying? Only at Chatzos? You see, you can eat it in the morning also. After Chatzos.
But this was the matzah, not the Korban Pesach.
This is the same thing. The Korban Pesach.
Yeah. Korban Pesach had to eat with matzahs. Right?
Yes, ate with matzah. So it says in the morning. In K Ma Talmud Leim Ba'Layla Zeh. What is Ba'Layla Zeh coming to teach us? I would have thought, you shechted the Korban Pesach by day on Yom Yudalid, I would think, the day of Shechita you can eat it. Talmud Lema Ba'Layla. So the Ba'Layla is telling you, no, you cannot eat it but in the day when you shechted it, you have to wait till nighttime. Because in the morning, you mean.
But shechted you have to also at night,
Huh?
They can't shech during the day.
No, they shechted by day. Yom Yudalid, but they couldn't eat it till the night.
You have to be kosher.
You have
to be kosher to meat.
Yeah. They roasted it. Yeah. Rak Ba'Layla. No, not long. Rak Ba'Layla, Yehi Nechal, only by night. Yehi Nechal by Yom. So you see how Mishnah says that Pesach is eaten only till Chatzos Halayla, was learned like Rabbi Lezer ben Azariah. Okay? But Rabbi Akiva Befedish holds that they were allowed to eat it until Amud HaShachar. They were allowed to eat it Babeka up to that's when they did, up to the time when the Chipazim started. So till Amud HaShachar. So now we're going to talk about, so that's a machlekes. Rabbi Lezer ben Azariah says only till Chatzos. Rabbi Akiva says, no, it says till the morning. So, but according to Rabbi Akiva, what is Balayla telling you? That you can't eat it in the day of the Shechita, you can only eat it by night. Amalei Abayas, Abayas to Rabbi Yosef, Umayda, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Udaraisa. How do you know Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah held that you can only eat it till Chatzos? And that's Minat Torah. Dilma Midrabanan. It's only Midrabanan that they said till Chatzos. They didn't want you should. It should be like we said Masach the Brachas. It shouldn't be nicer. So he says, in Cain, if that's the limud, that it's only Midrabanan, my Ella at Chatzos. What are you saying? Allah should Chacham Zogn Ella. The normal way when we say the Hachaka, really, that the Rabbanan said till Chatzos, but really it's till the morning, it would say Hanecholim leYom Echad, Hanecholim at Chatzos. Aber nicht Ella at Chatzos was the Kvetch Ella. Says Yimana Ki Hasam. The kavanah of the Tana is to tell you Ella at Chatzos b'daraisa. That Ma Hasam d'araisa, just like when it's by the other Ellas, it says Einei Ella liminuyav. Who could eat from the Kam Pesach? Only those that were from the Chabuda. Or it says Einei Nechel Ella Tzili. It says Ella. So that's Midaraisa. So when it says Ella at Chatzos, that's Midaraisa. That's what the Gemara is answering for Rabbi Elazar. That's how we know that Rabbi Elazar is right, and that's Midaraisa.
What about Rabbi Kiva? He says he can eat from the
Yeah, Rabbi Kiva argues.
He also holds this Midaraisa.
He doesn't hold the Ad Chatzos Midaraisa. He says Achaltam B'chi Pasik, and that's the Ad Yal. I don't know. It doesn't go through it. I don't know. Shall we turn to you, Pedig Gezel Mekayma?